Output.
They say these days that Big Brother is watching and reading your emails. As more and more email is used at work, firms across America are growing concerned about what their employees are saying in company emails while on company time. According to a recent survey, about 45% of firms in the USA monitor their employees' electronic communication, including email, voicemail, and internet use, and that figure is expected to rise. For many of America's 78 million email users, this use of scanning equipment to monitor emails is too much like George Orwell's Big Brother. But for the companies doing the monitoring, there are many good reasons for keeping an eye on their employees. I spoke to Bert Taylor, a Chicago-based consultant who advises companies on security and privacy issues. Bert, why do companies need to check on how their employees use email?
Well, inappropriate email can really damage a company in a number of ways. Employees can send jokes which others might see as sexual harassment. Some emails can even reveal company decisions, which can later be used by the competition or even in court.
And what about the effect of email use on people's time?
Lost productivity isn't one of the main reasons for monitoring e-communication, but some firms are worried that workers spend too much time using computers as toys. 90% of workers say they receive personal emails during the working day. Now, many large companies are setting up policies on email and internet use. For such policies to work, say experts, they must be in writing and they must be enforced. Lost productivity isn't one of the main reasons for monitoring e-communication, but some firms are worried that workers spend too much time using computers as toys. 90% of workers say they receive personal emails during the working day. Now, many large companies are setting up policies on email and internet use. For such policies to work, say experts, they must be in writing and they must be enforced. Unit 2. Output. Speaker 1.
Writing emails is so easy. You don't have to worry about spelling, punctuation, or the order of the information. It's great. No need to check things. Just send.
Speaker 2.
I'm not sure you're right, you know. I've spoken to lots of native speakers, and it really annoys them to receive mail with the wrong spelling and no punctuation. It looks as if you don't care.
Speaker 3.
I agree, I get a lot of job applications, and if the cover letter has too many mistakes, I don't even bother opening the attached CV. Why would I want to hire someone who's sloppy and careless? And we do keep copies of email. They can never be completely deleted.
Speaker 4.
Oh, come on. I think you're overreacting a bit. Email is supposed to be quick, and who has time to check spelling and grammar? I think if the email is clear and understandable, who cares if there are a few or even a lot of mistakes? Are capital letters and full stops that important?
Speaker 5. I think it probably depends on who you are writing to. My close colleagues don't care if I make mistakes. Some don't even notice them, but if I'm writing to a customer or a supplier, then I make sure my email is correct. After all, I don't want to give them the wrong impression. Unit 3. Output.
Warnings of viruses, whether forwarded by friends or announced over the radio, have now become so common it's difficult to know whether or not to take them seriously. Most companies play it safe and install so-called firewalls, which screen emails as they enter the system and prevent suspicious programs from infecting the computer network. You can also buy virus detection software, which can be updated from the internet to protect PCs from viruses. However, neither of these precautions is 100% safe. I spoke to Alex Jackson, a computer security expert, and asked him what he recommends.
The best advice is to be aware of viruses and to check emails carefully before opening them. If the email has no sender name or contains attachments from people you don't know, it's best not to open them. Often viruses are unknowingly passed on, so you may receive an email from a colleague, but it has an unrelated attachment or an attachment with a strange name. In these cases, it's best to contact your colleague and ask what the attachment is before opening it.
Of course, computer viruses aren't a new phenomenon. In 1988, the Morris worm virus infected nearly 10% of computers that had access to the internet. Nowadays, viruses are getting more sophisticated though, so if your PC is used for emailing, it's best to be very careful and not open anything that looks suspicious.
Unit 4. Output. Speaker 1.
I get over 160 emails a day, and most of them are totally useless. Just copies of emails to other colleagues, replies to those emails, comments on those replies, etc., etc. And most of the information has nothing to do with me. So what's the point?
Speaker 2.
I see your point, but you shouldn't forget that a lot of decisions are made by email now. Things that used to be put into writing, and by that I mean official memos or formal letters sent by post, are now just being confirmed and recorded electronically. How many people do you know who actually print out their most important emails so there's a hard copy? If I didn't get copies electronically, I wouldn't know what's happening.
Speaker 3.
I agree. I also get lots of emails where I've just been copied in. Maybe my colleagues are being nice to want to include me and not leave me out of the loop, but let's face it, most of the time I don't really need the information, particularly when there is a long email exchange between two colleagues. Wouldn't it be better just to copy me in and the other 10 people on the CC list when they've reached a conclusion?
Speaker 4.
My boss insists on getting blind copies of everything. I'm also supposed to CC every member of my team. I guess she wants to make sure that everyone has the same information and nobody's been left out. But it means I spend a lot of time going through my inbox.
Speaker 5. I don't know what you're all complaining about. I wish someone would CC me now and then. Nobody ever sends me copies of anything, even when the emails are about something I should know for my work. I wish this function were used more in our company. Unit 5. Output.
You were saying that some email habits annoy you.
Definitely. One thing which really irritates me is overquoting. You know when someone adds comments to a long email without deleting any of the previous message? This makes the recipient's job very difficult, as he or she has to read the whole message again to find the 1 or 2 short comments which were made.
How can you avoid this?
Very simple. If there are several important points to reply to, select these sentences or paragraphs, insert your comments after them, and delete everything else. You could even put your text in a different colour so it's clear which parts of the email are from the original message and which are your comments. Most email programs do this automatically.
So don't send the whole thing back?
Never. If you leave the original message exactly as you received it and just add a quick comment to the top, it looks like you haven't really read the message. If I were writing a book on email etiquette, this would be rule number 1. Keep all e-correspondence to 1 page or less and only quote relevant information.
Great. Thanks for the tip.
Unit 6. Output.
On today's programme, we are looking at the menace of spam, emails you receive without asking, from people offering you financial services, quick ways to make money, medical equipment and so on. With me again is Alex Jackson. Alex, who is sending all this spam?
Companies, gangs, fraudsters, all sorts of people.
And where are they based?
This is very difficult to say, but recent studies suggest the US, China, Russia and South Korea are responsible for a lot of the world's spam.
And what happens if you respond to this sort of email?
Well, first of all, it confirms to the sender that your email address is valid. This means you will get more and more spam as your address is passed on.
So what is the best way to stop it?
Spam filters are obviously good at detecting unwanted emails, but the spammers are so clever that a lot still gets past the filters. Spammers are using images as a way of getting past the filters, since the filters are much better at spotting text. By clicking on the attachment, you usually go to a website, most of which are in China apparently. Best advice is simply to delete any mail from anyone you're not sure about.
How large is the problem?
It's growing every day. 90 billion per day, according to recent studies. Apparently, Bill Gates gets around 1 million a year to his own email address.
Can anything be done?
Well, companies are obliged to provide a link for you to unsubscribe from mailing lists. But the huge numbers of unsolicited emails will carry on growing and might one day saturate the internet completely. If you want to escape spam, get a brand new address. Use it only with people you trust. Never use it to register online, and try to send individual rather than multiple copy emails. The problem is, this will really restrict your use of the net.
Thanks very much, Alex. And on next week's programme...